Someone said to me the other day that Jesus didn't really exist, which quite surprised me, so I thought I might talk about that today. Hi, I'm Warren, the rector here at St. Columba's. Glad you could join me for my message of the day. As it turns out, the broad outline of Jesus' life and death are not disputed. Somewhere in the late 20s AD, early 30s, Jesus appears, has a ministry of short duration, bit of dispute about exactly how long. It began with his baptism by John the Baptist. It ends with him dying on the cross, and his disciples soon afterwards proclaim him as risen from the dead. But between his baptism by John and his death on the cross, he healed people, he conducted exorcisms, he taught in parables, and other teaching like the Sermon on the Mount, if you've never read it. The Gospel of Matthew, chapters 5, 6 and 7, it's like a manifesto for a new humanity. In fact, much of what you read about Jesus, if you read it, come to it fresh, and you've never read the Gospels before, you'll discover that many of the things that we take for granted are embedded in the Gospels themselves. But this broad outline of what I've just given is not really disputed. It's the detail where people start to squabble a bit. But most of the detail, actually, if you read it, you'll be struck by it. I can remember as a young man being struck by this Jesus. He was inspiration. Reading Matthew 5, 6 and 7 really did inspire me. Reading about his journey to the cross and the way he carried himself, and then his death, that was an amazing thing. Now, from his life and death and the proclamation of his resurrection, all sorts of theological claims have been made. And once you come to understand them, they're quite beautiful. But actually, they're all grounded in this life of Jesus and his death and the proclamation of his resurrection and the stories of his appearances to his disciples as the risen Christ. It's those stories which, if you want to engage with the historical Jesus, you have to get down and read those details. And the place to find them are the Gospels, Matthew, Mark and Luke and John. And you will find other references to Jesus in literature of the time. But it's the Gospels themselves which will strike you and change how you see yourself by engaging with Jesus. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.